Hello, welcome to Galactic Initiative. I'm your host, Jeff. The Book of Boba Fett met its end today. Joining me for a review of Chapter 7 is Grand Admiral Sean. Welcome, Sean.
Hello, my friend.
I wrote a summary, but I won't waste our time. In short, the finale was a bloody mess. The series told an unimaginative, inconsequential story. Boba Fett, a mysterious villain, one of my favorites, was shamed in the process. No understanding or cleverness displayed in the production. Disappointment on a level I've not visited since The Last Jedi. Let's tackle the problematic details before we address the fundamental trouble. It begins. Garsa Fwip, gone. Figure and Dan, gone. And no one's ever really gone, but they gone. Why kill them? Why cast Jennifer Beals?
It's very confusing to me. It's very upsetting. I mean, this is one of the things that generated a lot of buzz about the show. You know, Jennifer Beals being in the show, everybody's like, "Oh my God, Jennifer Beals!" And that her character could have played a very integral role in the overall story or the overarching story, and she could have been a long-term character in Star Wars. I mean, clearly, this is jumping ahead, and I apologize, but but at the end of this episode, there's clearly room for more. Should the fans ask for it, and please, fans, don't ask for it. But there could be room for more, and we could have had these great characters, and like you say, we brought back Figure and Dan, and Max Rebo, and like all these people, and Max Rebo will probably survive because he survived the explosion on the katana, but maybe he's just impervious to explosions. I don't know. But these characters that we got excited about in the show, there's very few, but the few that we did get excited about, they all just seem disposable to Disney, and it's frustrating. It feels like some of the characters we got in the earlier, with the Mandalorian. People who show up for an episode and then just disappear, and we're like, that guy was really cool. Like, where did he go? Or that lady was interesting. Why is she not back? And they do this, and it's puzzling.
Yeah, agreed. I checked. I looked carefully for Max Rebo. I think he was either on a break or he had the night off. Did not see him in the casino at the time of the explosion. So perhaps Max Rebo lives and his luck hasn't run out. Certain characters who we like and want to see more of disappear, and other characters who we never want to see again become leading characters, or leading is too strong, but become regular supporting characters. So we'll get to that. Still in the beginning of the chapter, flown by R2-D2, Luke's X-Wing delivers Grogu to Tatooine. Yeah, are you kidding me? So Luke would risk the Empire's biggest target without any supervision, without knowing Din Djarin is available to protect him, without asking Din Djarin to come back and fetch him. The Empire captured Grogu and was set to recapture him when Luke intervened.
Yeah, that was a little... I guess the only thing that would have been more disappointing than that is that if Luke showed up and then cleaned up the town, like he had to do at the end of Season 2 of Mando. When I saw the X-Wing, I was like, oh, are we really going back to the well? Like, is this going to happen again? Are we going to have Luke Skywalker in the harbor killing many men? What is this? And then, yeah, we got Grogu, and it was like, yay, he chose the chainmail. But it doesn't make any sense. I mean, again, it doesn't have any continuity in the universe that we've established. And this is something that you and I have talked about on many shows about many problems with Star Wars. Is the reason why we complain about stuff is because the previous material has established something, whether it be a rule about how the Force is used, or whether it's a character's personality and moral code. And then when they show up and it doesn't work the way we thought it did, or it's more than what we thought it was, or the character is completely out of character, we're like, this isn't Star Wars. And it's the same thing. Like, we have spent a lot of time in the Mandoverse talking about how Grogu is a hot commodity, and how he is a key component of some kind of imperial or post-imperial scheme. And then we suddenly drop that as a plot point. Yeah, send the kid out unsupervised. It's fine. Nobody's going to pay attention. What happened to the tracking fobs? Right? What happened to the bounty pucks? What happened to being able to find Grogu on another planet with with a remote control thing? That all went away. That's gone. It's not even a consideration. So throw him in the X-wing. R2 will fly him there. It'll be fine. I mean, please, come on. It doesn't work. It's weird. Yes, I know it's convenient. It's and something else we constantly reference. It's video game convenient. It carries us from one place to another. It puts all the pieces on the board the right way so that they can do the thing that they have to do in the episode. But yeah, it's way out from what we've experienced over the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian, and it just kind of drops the urgency or the sense of danger for Grogu.
Yeah. What stopped? What changed? So the Empire had already handed out all of these fobs, and these hunters would still be pursuing. If people don't know Luke, they don't know that Grogu's under Luke's protection. Hunters would be coming to that planet. We'll talk about the writing as one of the fundamental problems, but this is a sign of it. This just wasn't well thought out. So the exposition dump from Fennec Shand at the beginning felt like an uncomfortable attempt to cover missing plot points. 7 chapters, show, don't tell. Don't waste episodes. If you remove 2 episodes from the Book of Boba Fett to insert 2 episodes of Mando 2.5, then you have ground that you're not going to be able to cover. And honestly, the way Fennec was describing everything to us, the situation with the crime families and the circumstances in which they found themselves at the beginning of the episode, I was thinking we needed to see those things to have some investment in the show. I had no emotional investment. The show didn't earn it.
Well, not only that, but the whole reason why this is even happening, like why he's even there. We get some throwaway lines from Boba Fett, halfway through the episode, where he's like, "These are my people, and I'm not leaving them alone." And it's like, okay, they're not your people. You showed up on Tatooine because you were delivering frozen Han Solo to Jabba the Hutt. You were there hanging out afterwards because there was a good band there and a bunch of Twi'lek ladies, so of course you're going to hang out for a minute. But this isn't your planet. This is not where you're from. This is not your job. I mean, we saw Boba Fett in cinema, and then we saw him again, in the Clone Wars cartoon, and his experience and his range is much broader than Tatooine, yet somehow now he's suddenly highly emotionally attached to the planet. And there's reasons why you could have that as a plot, but to your point, we never got them. They tried to do some really heavy-handed, clunky Dances with Wolves analogy, where he, becomes, he goes native and becomes part of the Tuscan Raider community, but they all get killed. So the one real emotional attachment that you could claim he has to the planet is gone. Even Cad Bane later in the episode asked Boba Fett, what's his angle? Like, everybody around here is like, why is Boba Fett not being Boba Fett? And then we don't have any connection or reason why he's doing what he's doing. So everybody's asking what his angle is. Fennec's, like you say, her role in this series was very weird, but she ends up in this final episode being more like the Shakespearean chorus. It's this character that shows up in the middle of your play and says, hey, look, we're really sorry. We don't have a big budget here. This is a very small theater. We've only got like 5 guys in our company. But if you will, extend some imagination, we are now in the fields of France having a great battle. Okay. And they give you the backstory and they tell you what's going on, right? While all the actors are off stage doing a quick costume change, right? And her role in this episode is very similar. It's like, hey, all that stuff, all those questions you have from the last 5 episodes or 6 episodes or whatever, like, I'm going to give you the answers now. And it's very unsatisfying because we don't have any connection to it other than the fact that we're told that it happened at some point when we weren't looking. To use your phrase, show don't tell. I want to see it. I want to understand what kind of impact this has on other characters. What does it mean? What are the stakes? What's the payoff? Like all that stuff. But instead, we get a staff meeting again at the beginning in the bombed out casino. And she's lecturing everybody on, well, this is what's going on with this, and this is what's going on with that. And it's all delivered in like monotone. It was not very well acted. I apologize. I do like the character, but this episode didn't do her any justice. It's so poorly executed. Like, you could have had this series. The series could have been a show. It could have been Mario Puzo, or it could have been borderline spaghetti western, few dollars more, fistful of dollars, hang 'em high, whatever, and it could have been a good analog for that. But instead, we just got chunks and bits and pieces, and they were kind of stitched together, and it became this Star Wars patchwork quilt that really didn't make a larger, picture or photograph or whatever. Like, the story wasn't there, or at least the meaning or the stakes behind the story wasn't there. And so it's like Boba Fett's standing there, for example. So we talked about the staff meeting at the beginning. Boba Fett's like, I'm going back to my castle, right? We're going to stay there. And everybody's like, no, we must stay here. It's our town. These people need you, Boba Fett. It's like, the people don't give a rip about Boba Fett right now. Right? There's like 5 different crime families that are vying for control of the city. Everybody has their faction. Everybody's, scrounging for scraps. Nobody cares about Boba Fett right now. He's the weakest member of the hierarchy when it comes to the crime syndicates. It's him, a lady with robot guts, a Wookiee, and, some teenagers and their Vespas. Like, that is not a gang. Okay? That is not a crime syndicate. That's not even mischief. Okay? So don't give me this lecture about how the people need you, Boba. It's like, anyway, sorry.
No, it's
my
fine.
frustrations are manifest.
Yes, I sense the disturbance in the force. No, the mods refused to leave, so Fett stayed with them in Mos Espa. Instead of protecting lives and property by drawing the Pikes to a battle at Jabba's palace, Fett allowed the scooter kids to pressure him into a poor strategy. Who did they protect by staying? How much damage did the city incur as a result of combat in its streets?
Let's go into an urban core where we can't tell the difference between what's a target and what isn't, and collateral damage and all that stuff. Yeah, bring them out to your castle. Have them come take you at the firebase. We know who's who and what's what and who not to shoot out there. And we could talk about military tactics, and I get it. It's a scooter gang and some farmers and a few people, but at the end when they're having the battles and it's like everybody's just standing there huddled together, I'm like, does not one Pike have a grenade?
Mm-hmm.
So what are the Pikes doing?
I have some thoughts about other weaponry employed elsewhere in the Star Wars galaxy, not employed here. Haven't gotten there yet, but yes. The crime family's betrayal of Fett came as no shock, no twist there. They were an evil bunch. Fett's naivete was the surprise. We knew the crime families would betray him, that they would turn on him, and do not divide your forces. You don't have enough resources to cover all the different districts in the city. One being in a district is not going to make a difference. All that Fett succeeded in doing, and maybe Shand in planning as well, was to just divide and allow the enemy to overwhelm them in all the different districts of the city. So it didn't make any sense. And I just, as I watched the series, not just this episode, as I watched the series, really, is Boba Fett this naive? Is he really this stupid? And when they have the conversations, he often has nothing to say. He does, so for all the talking he does, he doesn't have anything to say about their strategy, about their tactics, about planning. And it just, so again, no surprise at the betrayal. I don't know, as viewers, were we supposed to be shocked by it, that the crime families didn't stand down, that that this group of bad guys sided with the other group of bad guys.
No, that wasn't necessarily a surprise or a shock or anything. Again, if anybody's ever watched The Godfather, you understand that these crime families, they try and position themselves in such a way to benefit from whatever chaos is happening. And Boba Fett came in and he was, a disruptor, and he changed the status quo. And these other crime families are going to profit off of that one way or the other. He's either going to come in and make them money, or he's going to come in and die and they're going to make money. No, their behavior didn't strike me as out of place or as much of a surprise. But to speak on what you were saying earlier about military tactics and dividing forces and stuff, also, covert surveillance is not conducted by a 9.5-foot tall Wookiee who has body armor and is standing in the middle of a town square. You kind of stand out a little bit. People know you're there. Okay. Same thing for a bunch of teenagers in brightly colored, shiny little scooters. Right. You're not blending in. Right. You're not. We have eyes everywhere. Yeah, and there's a million more eyes on your eyes because they stand out like a sore thumb. Think about Boba Fett. Boba Fett put his ship in the garbage on a Star Destroyer to be jettisoned with the garbage to see if he could trap Han Solo, because he knew Han Solo was doing something. There was no way he could have disappeared or flown off. So he played a hunch. It was an extremely intelligent move. But we don't see that at any point in the series, but the way that he conducts his affairs. He wanders into a situation, he's like, I'm going to do a thing. And then the kids on the motorbikes are like, oh, don't do that. That's bad. I will not do that thing. You don't have any courage in your convictions. You're supposed to be one of the greatest bounty hunters in the galaxy. You're supposed to be cunning and ruthless and intelligent. And we've seen you be cunning, ruthless, and intelligent. It's weird. It's so weird, the character of Boba Fett and how he's conducting himself in this series.
The kids are all right. Sorry, had to get a Who reference in there. It's not off Quadrophenia, I admit, but
I know, but still, I mean,
nevertheless, a Who reference.
Meet the new boss, same as the old boss.
Oh, that's even better. You brought up the Wookiee. No explanation for the Wookiee's escape from the Trandoshans. He was tackled and subdued. He was stabbed, but simply reappeared near the casino. Also, he absorbed blaster fire. Also, why would you pick a Wookiee to patrol Trandoshan territory? The two species are mortal enemies.
Yeah, and that just shows a grasp of, I'm sorry, it shows a lack of a grasp of the Star Wars canon, right? Or the established, even expanded universe. Don't put these two dudes in a room; they're going to kill each other. But no, we'll send, our Wookiee, our man, the Wookiee, into down Trandoshan town. It's not going to end well, right? There's going to be problems. And then the fact that he's 9 feet tall and jet black, and he's in a beige paradise of Tatooine. You're like, wow, that really stands out. Maybe I could buy him surviving that, but have him at least like crawl around the corner and be kind of bloody, like, hey, I'm dying. I got stabbed on the porch. But no, he just comes strolling down the street, and then, like you say, everybody shoots him, and he develops a limp at that point. We have shot him with all of the blasters, and we've stabbed him with all of the knives, right? And he's bled out in the streets of Tatooine or whatever, but he just now is limping, right? Like,
it's just a flesh wound.
It's I know, right? Come back here, I'll bite your legs off, right? Yeah, like, it's yeah. It's very Monty Python in its absurdity.
Yeah. All right, the Major Domo. Awful choice for humorous moments. I liked the character in Chapter 1, but he grew tedious by the finale. Pelimoto made a similar impression on me. Your thoughts about those two?
And aren't they going to wind up being romantic interests now?
She liked the headtails. She complimented the headtails.
Right. She's thinking ahead. Yeah.
That Coruscant education,
That's right. Yes, that's right. He was schooled on Coruscant, don't you know?
But that
He's
doesn't make it
fluent
better
in
than
3
us.
billion. That's right. Yeah. So in a lot of great fiction, we have the weasel character, and when done right, they are fantastic to behold in the sense that they cause us to feel kind of just uncomfortable about them. Like Grima Wormtongue, for example, is one of those. This guy, the weasel for comedic, I don't know, relief, and comedy relief in Star Wars is one of those things where you can have it, but you can't force it. And I feel like in the recent Disney Star Wars universe, there's a lot of forced humor. This guy is somewhere between a developed weasel character in literature and Poe Dameron making mom jokes to the First Order. Like it's heavy and repeated as he was in this episode. It became very cloying and just you just wanted to fast forward through it. And then same thing with Old Ripley. A little bit of Old Ripley is great, right? Like her moments with Baby Yoda are fun, right? And the fact that she's like, Grogu, I'm not going to call you that. Like me and every other Star Wars fan was like, you're damn right we're not going to call him that. We're calling Baby Yoda, right? But again, too much of her is a bad thing. And then the hint that they might actually get together, I'm like, oh, God, help me, right? That'll be the new WandaVision show.
Din Djarin committed himself to Boba's fight. The two Mandalorians blitzed the Pikes in the street in the name of honor, the chapter's title. Just when all seemed lost, a small group from Freetown arrived with an old combat speeder. The Pikes continued to attack. Just when all seemed lost, Black Chrysanthemum resurfaced. Just when all seemed lost, I I could go on, but that's the way this fight unfolds. I hate to say it because it's an episode packed with action, but a lot of the action isn't meaningful. The good guys are just shooting the same extras in Pike costumes over and over and over again. They're shooting them off of balconies, off of roofs, out of windows, in the street, in a vendor stall. This is a galaxy-wide crime syndicate, and it just doesn't feel like there's a plan on that side either. But anyway, so the fight has begun in earnest.
Yeah, the question that I have for the Pikes is, do you have a street map of Mos Espa?
Let me ask a simpler question, not to interrupt you. I'm sorry, but do they have another Camtono of explosives?
Also, thermal detonators seem to be fairly
that too,
easy to find in the greater Star Wars universe. I mean, so many things. Hey, how about an E-Web cannon? I don't know, man. I just don't know. Luke Skywalker had a hand grenade on Hoth, okay?
Yes,
he blew up AT-ATs.
This is the smallest large-scale crime battle in the history of the galaxy.
Yeah, this is not even like the Gangs of New York style. Like, this is in miniature, right? Yeah. And they kept talking about, they're deploying all these troops, they're landing all these troops at the spaceport. 12 guys showed up. So tell me what the Pikes are doing that they, are one of the major crime syndicates in the universe. They run the spice mines of Kessel or whatever. And everybody refers to Fennec Shand as Master Assassin, right? So you've got the greatest bounty hunter in the history of the universe whose right-hand person is a Master Assassin. And he's also got a 9.5-foot tall Wookiee who's a former world champion gladiator who killed everybody. Maybe more than a dozen guys would be good. And then marching them all up one street to the front entrance of the casino. Like, nobody's heard of a flanking maneuver? Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's fine. I'm with you. Pincer
these
strike.
episodes. Yeah. These episodes do not survive simple logic.
That was their initial plan. I don't know. We're going to talk about the droids in a moment. Why didn't the droids go first?
Yeah,
the droids would at least root. And I'm sorry. The droids would at least flush your enemy out of the casino. What if you coordinated your armor with your infantry?
What?
Hey!
Are you Rommel? Did you read Rommel's book?
Boba flew to Jabba's palace so he could return on his Rancor. He arrived very quickly. In any case, jetpacks were used but somehow forgotten at key moments when they would have been very helpful, like when the Mandalorians were pinned down by the snipers, or when Fett fought Cad Bane. Cad Bane once had rocket boots. They're gone now. Cad Bane. We'll get to him. So shooting at the Scorpion X droids didn't work, but everyone continues to do it. Furthermore, Boba returned with a Rancor, not Slave One. Speeders and spacecraft are key elements of the Star Wars galaxy. No one employed them, despite both teams having access to them. A seismic charge would have destroyed the droids. Powerful laser cannons would have reduced or eliminated the droid shields.
Boba Fett used Slave One in an earlier episode to decimate a speeder bike gang in an implausible way, but he used it to decimate the speeder bike gang. He used, well, maybe Fennec used, but they dropped a seismic charge on the Sarlacc. Like, he knows what kind of weapons he has available to him. I mean, why not just fly over the town and just strafe the streets? And the other thing about the jetpacks, Major Domo is delivering the terms, and they fly and they land in front of all of the pikes and shoot at them. Why not fly out the back door of the casino or off the roof or whatever and go a couple of blocks over and come back, wind up behind them? And, now you've got them trapped in a crossfire. I read about that once in a book. I hear it's very deadly.
What? Yeah. Why land at all? Why would you land in the street?
I believe a former warrior philosopher who was prominent in the Star Wars universe said something about having the high ground. And I think that Boba and Mando with their jetpacks probably could have had the highest of the high ground, since we weren't using close support aircraft in this battle. But no. And then there were some scenes there when you speak of that, when they land, they're getting shot. There's some scenes there where Mando and Boba are taking fire, and like they get shot by a guy on the roof. It's like, clearly the only person here who has a bead on you is the guy up on the roof. Why don't you shoot him first? We could have had something better, right, to make all this more believable. Because what we've got is moisture farmers and some hip Gen Z kids. They're somehow fighting a criminal enterprise that controls most of the known Outer Rim area and has a monopoly on running drugs. Again, this is not how you fight, and this is not how you do street battles.
Yeah, and you have these slow-moving droids, and yet no one can get away from them. And I chuckled in the same way I chuckled when Boba destroyed the swoop gang in a neat line for him to gun them all down. These slow-moving droids are constantly right behind the good guys, and the good guys never split up. My least favorite scene, the duel that we anticipated since 2014, was terrible. Cad Bane frightened the Rancor away with a flamethrower and defeated Boba in a gunfight. Then he inexplicably became a villain cliche by gloating over his kill. Boba used his gaffy stick to kill Bane, a gaffy stick, I should point out, he conveniently stowed just in time for his ride to the city. That was the end of Cad Bane.
Yeah, so as a Darth Maul fan, I've had this pain before. And he had this great story arc, and he caused all kinds of problems in the universe, and he was extremely powerful, and he beat all kinds of people, and, he killed Jedi, and he toppled empires, and he did all this stuff, and then some old guy killed him with the flick of a wrist in a half a second at the end of an episode. The same thing happened to Cad Bane, right? Again, one of the great villains / characters of the Star Wars universe, being written or not acting the way that we would expect them to. And yes, I get everybody in this episode or in this show is older than they used to be. But he fought Jedi and won. He took Obi-Wan's lightsaber from him. Okay? He almost beat Obi-Wan in a straight-up fight. He killed a man for his hat. This character of Cad Bane is just the epitome of badass. In that moment, when he was standing over Boba Fett, he, like you say, he turned into a cliche. And I will say this: that as soon as Boba Fett fell down and got up, and I saw the gaffy stick, I'm like, he's going to kill him with the gaffy stick. It felt so contrived. As soon as you saw it on his back, you're like, well, the only reason why he has it is because he needs it in the scene. The whole, I believe, we feel the same way. We went through an entire emotional roller coaster about the Cad Bane situation. He shows up in that episode, and we're like, hell yeah, he's back. Then we turn around, a week later, and we get this, and we get him played out like a punk, and it's just, again, so unsatisfying. The way they did Darth Maul, the way they did Cad Bane. And Cad Bane is a big-time fan favorite character. You had asked me at one point, did Dave Filoni really sign off on that? Like, is this what he really wanted for this character? Dave brings a lot of people out of retirement, from the old expanded universe home. And he brings a lot of people out of the Clone Wars, which was his show, to put them in these shows because he wants to make sure that they have a permanent place in the legacy of Star Wars. Who allowed the decision to be made, and why was the decision even considered to do that to Cad Bane? Really poor treatment of a character that deserves so much more respect than he got.
I expected him to die in this episode. It's the manner of his death. I'm trying to remove my emotional attachment to the character and just look at the confrontation objectively. It didn't seem to satisfy anyone, or at least anyone whose reaction, anyone I've spoken to, or anyone who's posted a reaction or review. So how does this happen? But taking a different direction here, the Tuscan Raiders mattered very little to the overall outcome. One could argue that their involvement changed Fett, the Sarlacc, and the adoption into the Tuscan tribe and the trials. He was a changed man. I felt nothing except consternation at the beginning. Chapters 2 and 3 were as pointless as chapters 5 and 6 to Fett's narrative. Do viewers recall, according to the new canon for the Sand People, the inhabitants of Mos Espa, Mos Eisley, Anchorhead, all the settlements on Tatooine were trespassers on Tuscan land. Din Djarin explained it in Chapter 5 of The Mandalorian. He said, from the Tuscans' perspective, everyone else is just trespassing. So Fett goes native, joins the Tuscans, but in essence turns on the Sand People to defend the interlopers. How does this gel with his experience out on the dunes? Boba, champion of the native cause, ends up protecting the very people that the Tuscans wish to eliminate. The gaffy stick made me think of the irony, how it starts and how it ends.
The going native portion doesn't even make sense. So you vomited forth onto the sands of Tatooine from the guts of the Sarlacc, only to be beaten, abused, ill-treated, tied to a stick, starved, and dehydrated in the desert. And then you what? Get Stockholm Syndrome? They were going to feed you to their dogs. They let their kids beat on you while you were tied up. This is where Boba Fett suddenly started developing his philosophy of respect. So now, yes, then we move forward, and to your point, if you want to carry the analogy to its full conclusion, by protecting the people of Mos Espa and by extension the other settlements of Tatooine, he is perpetuating the colonialism. He's just making it a little bit easier to handle. None of it plays, none of it makes sense. Boba Fett is there to defend the honor and the traditional lands of the Sand People. Well, he should be pushing every single last person off the planet, and then he should get on the last plane and leave. That narrative does not survive logic. it creates a friction, it creates a cognitive dissonance in the fans because things don't line up. Watch episode 4, and then we watch the Book of Boba Fett, and we're like, these are not sand people. Your point is well taken. I mean, it's not. It's one of the many fundamental changes to the Star Wars universe that Disney has made that just drives fans crazy.
It certainly is. Yeah, sand people are villains. The Rancor's King Kong tribute, followed by nappy time. Why? To both.
As soon as he started climbing that building, I was like, oh, really? And then he gets up there and does the thing, and I'm like, where are the biplanes? And then the nappy time thing, I will say this, when did Grogu learn to be Ezra Bridger and talk to the animals? Is that something Luke teaches you on day one at the New Jedi Academy? And is this what we learned from lifting the frogs up? Like when he came walking out there, I was thinking, okay, we're going to have a repeat of the Mudhorn. He's going to lift up the Rancor and move him or her, whatever it is, lift it up and move it in such a way that it can't hurt itself or others. But instead, we get now some kind of, Vulcan mind meld, force touch. So I don't understand that part either. Like, what was the great force expenditure?
Well, we wondered aloud if Grogu's return was financially motivated. Watching this finale, I think we have our answer. Yes, definitely.
But also a fear of ratings loss. Baby Yoda stuff is selling like crazy in the stores. But who is it selling to? I can tell you that some of my friends who have been watching this show and The Mandalorian, who are not necessarily the hardest core of Star Wars fans, but we're getting into the franchise and getting deeper into the franchise because of Baby Yoda. I got messages. He chose the chainmail. He chose Mando. It's so awesome. Oh my God. That's why they did it. And I don't know, by accident or by design, Favreau and Filoni created a whole new segment of Star Wars fans with Baby Yoda. And they potentially killed that off by putting him in an X-Wing at the end of season 2. Hey, guess who's back? And yes, that also ultimately translates into dollars for Disney and all that stuff. I mean, they're not doing this out of the kindness of their heart for these people. The sequel trilogy didn't grow the fan base. It actually shrunk it a lot. And so bringing people back into the fold, creating new fans, that's all Baby Yoda.
There's more to be said there, but okay, well...
Let your hate flow through you.
Exactly. No, I know. Why didn't Fett destroy the crime lords? Fennec Shand took care of it. Nothing against Fennec Shand, but her assassinations were an unsatisfying conclusion. And the ease of her kills compels me to ask, what was the point of all this? The show could have been over in one chapter. What say you?
Oh, I had the exact same thought. Fennec Shand would be, shooting the guys through the skylight or whatever, but then Boba would roll in and have some, words of wisdom or some kind of probably bad joke or pun or something, whatever. But he would deliver some lines, right? And you would know Boba's in charge. To have her just come in, stab some dudes, do her thing where she pulls down her mask, looks menacingly at the camera, and then leaves. Yeah, I had the exact same thoughts you had. Why didn't she just do this earlier? If it's so easy to get in and out of their field command area, why just go down and waste those dudes? And then all those guys out in the street would have no leader, and then they would probably be like, yeah, it's probably time to go home. We would just cut our losses and bail. Have a fruit.
And
that would have been, that would have been the end of it, right? But no, we have this big, but no, we have to, have this big thing where you go out in the desert and you find your spirit lizard up your nose, and you go to the tree of life and you break off a limb, and then you just shut up, okay? We didn't need any of that. You walked in to Jabba's palace and you shot Bib Fortuna in the face. Keep walking, go down the street, get the mayor, and then keep walking and go down the street and hit the Pikes in the face too. Now everybody is going to respect you because you're the damn boss. I'm sorry. This is a high salt content show tonight, and I apologize.
No, it really is, and deservedly so. The chapter earned the salt. And in the end, Boba confessed to Fennec, we're not suited for leadership. What purpose did Black Chrysanthemum and the Vespa gang serve? What purpose did the Tuscan Raiders serve? Cobb Vanth. Ultimately, what was the series' raison d'etre? How could Favreau, and now we're moving into the fundamental problems, the fundamental troubles. How could Favreau and Filoni fail to tell a meaningful, rational story? They love Star Wars. They understand Star Wars. This show was written by people who don't understand Star Wars. Where's the disconnect, and who do you blame? Favreau, Filoni, Rodriguez, Kennedy, one and all. I don't understand.
So I have some theories. I want to say, and I know this becomes a broken record for a lot of people, but I want to say that this has to do with Kathleen Kennedy. Rodriguez is kind of a hot thing. Not as hot as he used to be back in the day when he was making more mainstream pictures, or I would say mainstream, but more big budget Hollywood stuff. But he has some cachet in the Hollywood community, and he's a little buzz around him and all that kind of stuff. And that type of talent, and I'm using air quotes right now, but that kind of talent, Kathleen Kennedy can't get enough of. Making him an executive producer, when I saw him starting to show up as an executive producer on this show, after having made one of the less satisfying episodes of The Mandalorian, and having him direct several of these episodes in this show, I felt like this bullet that the franchise took was one that she managed to dodge a couple of times with, like, Lord and Miller and Benioff and Weiss and a few other people. The hot talents that she was all high on and was giving, handing out things to, that she ultimately had to take away. We got lucky with Solo, but we've dodged this bullet several times. Eventually, like in The Matrix, even Neo gets shot because Rodriguez showed up and killed the Book of Boba Fett. I want to, again, the blame keeps going up the ladder. However, I will say that Favreau and Filoni, if this was indeed their intended product, this was a huge miss for these guys. And if you believe the rumors, and if you believe what's being said about what was going on at Lucasfilm at the time, that the show was heading in one direction, and then leadership stepped in and made a bunch of changes. And then when the feedback started coming in from the fans after the first several episodes, and that's why we got episodes 5 and 6, which were basically episodes 1 and 2 of season 3 of The Mandalorian, because it was so bad and because the fans reacted so poorly to it, that they had to bring back the bright and shiny thing, which is Mando and Beskar and Baby Yoda. You and I have had conversations about this, about why does Jon Favreau keep saying nice things about Kathleen Kennedy and whatnot. Jon Favreau is a professional and a gentleman. And he's not going to go start a fight in the press. He's not going to start a Twitter war with Kathleen Kennedy. He's not going to try and blow things up from the inside and be all toxic like, everybody else down there. But at some point, you have to stand up. Favreau and Filoni they can't let their name be put on this particular product and feel good about it, right? There has to be a point where they have to say, look, we've been team players, but what you're doing with this show, its future does not look good. And, there's no real plan that I can see. These dudes have to get out there and they just have to say enough is enough. But if they put out another show, or if they're involved in another show, or if season 3 of Mandalorian is not good because we blew half the good episodes in Book of Boba Fett, the fans are going to turn on those guys too. Yes, people can make it great, and we appreciate the people that make it great, but if you make it bad, or if you ruin it, or if you kill it, there's no love for you. We've given them all the rope, let's just hope they don't hang themselves.
Are we absolving Favreau and Filoni because we like them, because we like The Mandalorian?
We're obviously I am, as a fan, very satisfied with the things that the two of them have put out. Independent of Star Wars, I think Jon Favreau has a very respectable catalog of work. I've been a fan of a lot of his things, whether it be some of his independent films in the Marvel universe. Yeah, there's a few things there in the Disney catalog that are technologically impressive, but not necessarily, he did some remakes. He did Lion King, Jungle Book, right? Stuff like that. With Filoni, there's things. He had his hand in Resistance as well. The most of the 7th season of Clone Wars was bad. Bad Batch was bad. He's surprisingly like George Lucas, creative and talented person, but his creativity and talent really shine when he's given guidelines and boundaries, obstacles to overcome. When he's given carte blanche, it gets weird and we get space whales. When he's constrained or when he's working with a partner like Jon Favreau, it's much better. When he was working for George, we got the Clone Wars. We got some amazing television out of that. And we got some amazing television with Favreau and Filoni on the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. Now, there's been a lot of weird stuff going on at Lucasfilm. And the fact that there's all this speculation and rumor about what's happening tells me that there is something going on. There's a lot of executive producer credits on this show. There's a lot of people at the top, people making decisions, and probably a lot of competing interests. 3D level chess being played over there, people fighting over this particular kingdom, and in the middle of it, you have Filoni and Favreau who are caught up in that, trying to make TV shows. So I don't know. I don't know who really is to blame on all this. And the heart talking is I love the stuff that these guys make. And so, yeah, maybe a little bit of it is me saying, well, I really don't want them to be at fault. But the track record of these two guys shows us that failure is an anomaly. And it's either, hey, this is their one strikeout and they're going to go back to hitting home runs, or something happened and there was some kind of intervention, or there was too many chefs in the kitchen and it ultimately muddied the waters and ruined whatever product they were trying to put out.
Bold prediction, there will not be a season 2 of the book. I'm really going out on a limb there.
Well,
there won't be.
We got a second season of Resistance.
True.
We got a second Ewok after school special, right? After Caravan of Courage, there was
cheaper to make Resistance, though. Yeah.
No, it's true. But they've set it up. They set it up for a sequel. Your local sheriff in the back to tank at the end of the episode.
Yeah, the post-credit scene. I sensed it last week. Cobb Vanth in the back to tank with the mod doctor nearby.
That's what we live for. Yeah.
Does this mean Cobb Vanth gets a Vespa?
No.
I know.
Please, no. No, he probably will, but it'll look more like a Harley. It's they spent $4 billion buying Star Wars, and they treat it like trash, and then they wonder why they're not making any money. They're not even really treating their own stuff really, really well, or they're trying to manipulate it in a very cynical way to make more money off of it. They lose something, whether it's soul or, whatever word you want to use for it, but they lose something, and then what made it great ultimately is gone. And that all they can thrive on is people's fond memories and nostalgia for something. And when that goes away, what is it? It's a theme park with overpriced cheeseburgers. I would just say, my final thought on this is I would like to, a year from now, be sitting here on the podcast with you and say something along the lines of, wow, we got really worked up about that Book of Boba Fett thing. Turned out to be a whole lot of nothing. I'd love to be able to say that. And that is my hope for the future. But as you said, and as we were talking, off mic, it's been a long and difficult year for Star Wars, and I hope we have closed that chapter. But the cynic and the eternal pessimist in me says, stay tuned, more to come.
I wasn't sure a show about Boba Fett would work. We'll never know. I don't think this was a fair trial. I don't think season 2 will take place So one thing left to do, and that is rate the finale out of 10.
I feel like I'm being a little generous, but I'm gonna say a 5. Yeah, I'm definitely not going to give it a Frog Lady episode rating, but it's Frog Lady adjacent. Let's just say that.
5, okay. 3 for me. It's quite a drop from last week. It's a shame, but we move on. I want to close with respect. Our discussion of Chapter 7 of the Book of Boba Fett has come to an end. Thank you, Sean.
Every once in a while, both suns shine on a Womp Rat's tail.
The channel is dangerously close to 100 subscribers. If you're feeling generous, if you've found value here, please subscribe to the channel. We would greatly appreciate it. And thank you for watching.
Galactic Initiative is not authorized or endorsed by Lucasfilm Limited. The name Star Wars and all related materials are registered trademarks of Lucasfilm Limited, a subsidiary of the Walt Disney Company, all rights reserved. Galactic Initiative is a registered trademark, and other product and company names are trademarks of their respective holders. Use does not imply affiliation or endorsement.